The following show is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose nor treat any medical condition. Any information or recommendations provided should always be discussed with your healthcare professional. Welcome to the Patient Talks. I'm Physician Assistant Frank Smith, and today we're going to be talking about grief. Grief is rarely the reason that a patient makes an appointment to come see me, but it's something that comes up very often in my practice. And we've all been through it. That breath-stopping, heart-stopping, mind-numbing awfulness that comes from loss. And it doesn't matter what the loss is from. It can be the loss of our house, a pet, a spouse, a sibling, a parent, a child. We've all been there. That horrible, awful feeling. But sometimes we can get stuck. I've had patients several times say to me, I know I've got to get over this. And the truth is, using that phrasing, they're setting themselves up for failure. There is no getting over it. What we say to ourselves matters. There's two areas in the brain involved with language. There's one called Broca's and one called Wernicke. Broca's area is the one that lets us speak in a language so that we can pass on concepts and ideas. Wernicke's is the part of our brain that listens to language and turns it into concepts and ideas that our brain can process. And when we talk to ourselves, those areas in our brain light up just like they do when we're having a conversation with someone else. So I want you to imagine a 14, 15-year-old kid loses his left arm in an accident. Not his fault, just one of those horrible things that happens. Does anybody ever go up to that kid at any point in his life and say, you got to get over losing that arm? Of course not. And yet we tell ourselves we have to get over whatever loss we've experienced. Now, if some time has passed and that kid isn't feeding himself because he's left-handed and he lost his left arm, someone may come up to him and say, look, it's not fair, it's not right, but it has happened and we've got to adjust to this. We've got to adapt to it. We've got to start to make some changes to accommodate the loss of this arm. And over time, he will. He'll learn how to feed himself. He'll learn how to write. But do you think there's any point in his life ever that he will forget that he lost his arm? That he will get over having lost his arm? Of course not. And loss is loss. Whether it's a family member, a pet, your house, loss is loss. And you do not get over it. Taking the analogy of the kid who lost his arm one step further, if immediately after the accident this kid said, I don't need anybody, I can take care of this myself, I'll figure it out on my own, would you tell him that that's good advice? Of course not. You would go up to that kid and say, absolutely not. You have friends, you have family, and we're here for you and we're going to help you. And he would have appointments with physical therapy and occupational therapy to help him make some adjustments and adapt to the loss of that arm. And yet a lot of people going through grief try to stand on their own and they don't ask for any help and they will push everything away. Loss is loss, and you've lost your arm. You need your friends, you need your family, and you need professional assistance. The kid that loses his arm, if he never goes to physical therapy or occupational therapy, will he eventually adapt and learn how to use his other arm for everything? Frankly, yes. But if he goes to occupational therapy and physical therapy, does he learn it quicker? Does he learn to adapt better? Do they have tricks that he might have never thought of to help him get through the loss of his arm? The same can be said for any loss in your life. So for this week's show, that's really the main thing I wanted to pass on, is what you tell yourself matters. How you talk to yourself matters. And if you're going through grief and you're going through loss, do not fall for the concept of, I've got to get over this. You will fail. There is no getting over it. You adapt and you adjust. Last time for the kid with the arm. At some point in his life, he will adapt. He will adjust. And hopefully he has a wonderful, fulfilling, fantastic life. He will always know that that arm is not there, but he can still have a wonderful life. The same can be said with loss. That's going to do it for this week's show. I hope I've given you something to think about. If you ended up landing on this show because you were searching for help in grief, I want you to consider making an appointment with your clinician. We can help, and we can get you to other people that can help you as well. I'll be back next week. Until then, get better and make me look good.